In this video, we're going to take a look at generating payments from SunSystems. We're going to go into the payment run function. You may get a warning message about unposted journals existing. Simply click yes to continue. Click on the lookup button next to the profile code to select the relevant payment profile. And this payment profile is essentially a grouping code that allows you to select all relevant invoices for payment, be the ACH payments or check payments or wire payments. In this example, we're going to select check and click OK. At the very beginning, you always want to do a validation run at first. So simply leave everything as it is and click OK to enter through the selections and accepting all of the defaults that are there. So it's important at this point that we select no to post transactions because we do not want to make a posting. We want to make sure that we review and validate all of the checks before we make a payment. Click print and then click OK to generate the validation report. And once it's on the screen, you can then print that off and or scroll through and review and validate all of the payments that are about to be made. And you'll get one page per vendor. And if there are multiple checks for a vendor, then they may overflow onto subsequent pages. But here you'll see all of the payments that are about to be made. And then at the total, it will show you a total payment amount and for this particular run. If we only want to make a payment for one particular vendor, like in this case, if we only wanted to make a payment to this vendor right here, then we can do so by going back into payment run, selecting check for our payment profile. And again, we're going to do a validation listing to make sure that we've selected everything correctly. So we're going to select no and then hit OK. And when it comes to the account code as a selection criteria, we're going to put in the vendor code right here. And if you want to, you can also put an invoice number in the reference field if you want to only pay one particular invoice or a range of invoices for that vendor. Click OK to continue. And then simply click print once you're ready to print the payment listing report. In this instance, we should only get that one vendor return back to confirm and verify that that's the invoice that we want to pay. And once we're happy with that, we can go back to our payment run and continue with our payment run, but this time around, choose yes to post. We're going to select yes here and then simply click OK and continue through. You can leave the posting period blank and hit OK. Remember to put in the vendor code. Hit OK. And OK. And then click print. And print again. The payment listing gets generated again, and to confirm the checks that are going to be printed. And you would then print this off and save a copy of this file. This will open up the payment document screen, and it will have our payment profile code already filled in. So simply verify the account range and make sure that it includes the vendors that you are paying as part of this run. And hit OK to continue, and then click print. From the document tab, click on the document tab and ensure that the check number corresponds with the check number that is about to be printed. And make sure the print type is set to initial print and the print options are set to a final print. This will tell the system to write the check number back to the payment transactions in Sun. Click OK to continue. The check remittance advice is printed on the screen and can now be sent to the printer. If we now want to confirm the payment on the vendor account, we can go to Account Inquiry, pull up the vendor account, and on here we can see the payment, check number 12, having been posted to the vendor account. Now let's look at voiding a payment. So the check that we just printed, let's look at avoiding that particular check. So first, let's go into Account Inquiry and pull up the payment details. So we're going to pull up the vendor account and look at the payment details that were just posted. So we see here a payment was made on check number 12, and so this particular payment we're going to void. So if we open up a new session and go into payment voiding right here and click on that, then the payment voiding screen will pop up, and in order to void the payment, you must put in all the details exactly as they were posted on the original payment transaction. So we'll start with our vendor code. And then you would have to put in the payment account. And if you're not sure what the payment account is, you can actually go to the Account Inquiry, look at the transaction, the payment transaction that was made with the check number that you want to void, and then find the journal number and simply double click on the journal number to drill into that journal number to see both sides of the transaction. This will load the journal inquiry for that journal and show you the payment details. So we'll see here the vendor account that it was posted to and the bank account that was used for the posting. Now let's switch back to our payment voiding. So here is the bank account number. The discount account code is the default one that we put in here. And the payment reference is the check numbers, and you must enter that exactly as it is on the payment transaction with all the leading zeros. And we'll do that here. At the beginning, we want to say no to post-transaction just to make sure that we can look at the validation listing report. And the allocation marker we want is not allocated. That means that when the payment transaction gets reversed, the original invoice will be set to not allocated and be made available for payment once more. On this warning, click no, as this payment was not made using single payment, so we click no on this message. And then click print. And when the print dialog pops up, click OK. And here we can see the payment voiding transaction that will get generated once we post the transaction. So review it and verify that everything looks okay. And once you're happy that everything is in order, then we can close this down and go back to payment voiding. And this time around, post our details. So again, we have to put in the vendor code, the payment account code, the check number. And this time around, we're going to say yes to post, leave the allocation marker at not allocated, and click OK. And then we're going to say no for single payments. Click print, and then click OK. And then click yes to confirm. And here we can see the actual payment void transaction being posted. we see the amounts, the reference is affected, and the actual transaction that gets generated. Now you can save this and print this off, and we're going to go back to our account inquiry, and we're going to refresh our results. And you can see that the payment has now been removed and voided and then taken off the account. And the invoice is now again once more available for payment. We are now going to look at withholding certain invoices from payment. Now we're going to go into account allocations and have a look at a particular vendor account. And we're going to extract all transactions that are unallocated on that account, so ready for payment. Click extract. And we notice here a number of invoices that are ready to be paid. And let's say, for example, we do not want to pay this top one right here. So what you do is that you simply place it on hold. So by changing the allocation marker, so you click on the allocation marker drop down, select withhold, and then you simply post that change, and that will place that invoice on hold. So if we now exit out of here and go into and do our payment run, and we're going to do our another check payment run using our check payment profile. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and say no to post, just to kind of have a look at the transactions that will be posted. Click OK and OK again, and we're only going to do the payment for this particular vendor account. And hit OK to continue through. And then click print. And print again and hit OK. And now when we look at the payment listing, we can see only the 3 invoices are going to be paid from that account, but not the one that we placed on hold. So that's how you can go about withholding certain invoices from payment. Next, let's take a look at splitting invoices or doing partial payments. So again, you do this by going into account allocation. Let's extract all the transactions from that account that are unallocated. And here we still see our invoice that is still on hold. Now, let's say, for example, that for this last invoice here, for 32,800, we wanted to split that one and only pay 20,000 from that account or of that amount. You click on the allocation marker and you select split. Then you click OK, and you will get choice from a form to use, and we can choose this the multi one and hit OK. And in here you will be asked about the amount that you want to allocate. So in our case, we're going to type in 20,000 and hit OK. And we will see that the amount that we split has been set to be allocated, and the remainder has been set to not allocated. And so in this example, we want to put the 12,800 on hold. So we're going to change the allocation marker and set it to withhold. And then for the 20,000 that we do want to pay, we're going to change the allocation marker to not allocated. And this will make it available for payment. We can then proceed with posting the transactions to update our changes. And we can exit out of here and then go to payment run. I'm going to use our check payment profile. Click OK until we get down to the account code. We're going to put in the vendor account and then simply hit OK to accept all the defaults and click print and then OK. Our payment listing will get generated, and now we'll see that only the 20,000 will be paid off that invoice that we split. So this is a way to do partial payments within SunSystems. And this concludes our brief overview of the payment run function within SunSystems.